Brandon Minter, and welcome to Wingin' It. This is the show with hot questions and even hotter wings. I'm joined today by Dylan Cords. Dylan is the youth ministry director here at Crossroads Community Church. Dylan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a good
opportunity. How do you deal with spicy foods?
I used to do really okay, but I haven't eaten a whole lot of spicy foods lately, so this will be a fun challenge. Definitely some tears will be shed.
Are you more so excited or nervous?
I'm excited because I'm never afraid of shedding a few tears and being in a little bit of pain.
Well, we'll get started. First one is the Old Bay sauce. Let's give it a shot. Let's dig in.
All right.
So Dylan, describe the first moment that you felt a call into ministry.
Oh man. I think I was called before I knew it. It was probably when I was in a 6-month training program in Petaluma, California. And so my wife and I were living there, and we were going to a church called New Life. And we had my first night there, or it was first Sunday there, and then it turned into an evening thing. They had like a prayer and worship night. Turned into like this prophetic prayer time where everybody was going, and you could go to any of the groups around the room, and they'd pray for you. And there, they just kind of like knew things about me that they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
and they saw that I was in their prayers and in their vision time and whatever it was that they were doing, they saw that I was like a protector of kids and students, and so that was kind of like the first introduction into the fact that I might be a good fit for that world. And then I started working with Kidman a couple months later in that church, and then from there I was like, I love this.
Jump right in.
Yeah, it was great, and students were so much even more interactive, way more challenging.
Yeah.
But with the kids, it was pretty fun. I learned a lot about the Bible then, so I didn't realize how much more I learned just by being with kids. And I think that's when I felt called to.
All right, on to wing number 2. This is Pierce's Barbecue out of Williamsburg, Virginia.
Love Pierce's.
So you're a drum or flats guy?
Definitely a flats. There's just something about separating the bones.
Right.
And then getting all the meat out of it, cleaning off the bone, that's just so much more satisfying. You don't have to leave the cap on it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I don't know.
So youth ministry can be exhausting, especially with a full-time job, with a family at home. Mm-hmm. What are some things that you do to recharge?
I think the biggest thing is taking time with my family and making it intentional is one thing that's super big. Because in the bustle and hustle of life, and where you're just rushing from job to job or moment to moment, or chaos to chaos, you can kind of lose that. And then not only that, and it could be anything from just sitting down and reading a book to my daughter, or watching a movie with my wife. There's those things. But more than anything, it's in the first thing in the morning. You got to get some Bible time in there, or at least prayer. Like if you just are running out the door or whatever it is, like you have to at least pause.
Yeah.
And take a moment, and sometimes it has to do with posture. So I think that's one thing, but then more than anything, fun. Like you got to have some fun, especially when you're working with students. You have a lot of fun with students anyways, but you got to go do things that you like to do, and not just things that you want to do for them. So, and you just take every opportunity you can to serve in another way that isn't necessarily your normal occupation or job.
Right.
And then frequent breaks. I've never taken like a sabbatical, but I can imagine that being very helpful. I haven't done it, but just like making sure there's boundaries and that you have designated time for different things.
And recharging your personal batteries so you're not just constantly pouring out.
Yeah. And sometimes it could be just doing something like this, right? Like this is not overly taxing to me, at least yet. We haven't really started one of these 2 flavors.
We're on number 2, so.
But it could be going and getting a lunch with a friend that especially somebody that doesn't live in your house. Just go get a lunch, get that outside perspective.
Absolutely.
And time.
All right, let's move on to wing number 3. This is the historic triangle.
Okay, so why is it called that?
So this is another local one. So the historic triangle is Jamestown, Yorktown, and Williamsburg.
I forget that every time.
Yeah, so that's where it comes from, yeah.
Okay. But that's got an incredible flavor to it.
It is, and some of these are very flavorful. Some of them are not.
Man, I like that.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'm gonna spoil something right here. That thing has bothered me before.
Yes, yeah, it's not fun to
very intense
anybody.
way.
Yep, absolutely.
No, that's a good sauce though. Anyways,
So you hear a lot of stuff in student ministry, and probably even when you served in kids ministry, and just in church in general. What is the most shocking thing you've ever heard come out of a student's mouth?
man, I always want to go back. There's this moment in summer camp in 2021. We were at Watermarks camp, and it was, super cool experience, by the way. Cool little plug for them. It was actually a question that the student had theologically that I don't think I'd ever heard an adult ask, and it was this in-between moment where they asked about what happened to the people that met Jesus or knew about Jesus or believed in Jesus but died before him. Where did they go, and then what happened to them? And I had never thought about how to even attend to that scripturally. And so it was a very challenging moment. But I was just like, why are you even thinking about that? Like you're 13 years old.
Congratulations, Bob. Hold on.
Wait, seminary it is. Yeah, it was very. I think that's one of those things that I heard that it was just extremely surprising and challenging at the same time, which is why I loved it.
But is there anything just a student said that just like, why would you even say that?
We were preparing for the Lazarus skit that we did in the spring this year, and one of them was like, "How tall do you think Jesus was?" And I was like, "I don't know why." And they were like, "What if he was like 4 foot?" And I was like, "Why?" They're like, in all the pictures you see like a white Jesus with long, glowing, flowy hair that he looks like he's probably really tall. I want him to be short. And I was like, why did you want him to be short?
I like my Jesus to have a tuxedo T-shirt.
It says, I'm party. I'm ready to party.
Because I like to party, so I like my Jesus to party.
Paul was a man. He had a beard.
All right, so we're moving on to number 4. You doing all right so far?
Yeah.
All right, so this is Gator Death Roll.
Gator death roll.
Yes.
That's really funny. So my daughter does this thing when she comes and when she sleeps in bed with me, roll,
Yeah.
roll. And it always reminded me of
The Gator Roll.
Gator
Yeah,
death roll.
absolutely. Well, yeah, okay. It's not bad. It gets there. It's got like this, obviously like a Cajun flavor to it.
Mm-hmm. But it's stepping it up,
Absolutely. So what are some of the challenges? You work in the military.
Yeah.
Of course, you work at Crossroads. So what are some of the challenges, but also some of the benefits of being bivocational in your ministry?
Yeah, well, okay. Actually, this is great. This is stuff that we talk about in school now, where you see the kind of the culture going towards bivocational pastors. I think the biggest thing is that it makes it to where I don't have to be reliable on the church necessarily fully. I don't have to rely on just a church salary or an hourly wage or anything like that. I can rely on my military pay to take care of other things. And so that really kind of speaks home to me about what Paul always talked about, living a quiet life, not being dependent on other people.
Making tents.
Making tents, or a leather maker, whatever, whatever we end up finding out more about him. I think that's the biggest thing. It's beneficial in that sense, but also it allows you to create a boundary because full-time ministry in today's world, where the church doesn't have the major influence on people's lives and how they run home to home. Like Paul could, tell a family that believed in Jesus, this is how you're going to live, and he had the authority to do that, and they would listen. We don't necessarily have that over the entire church or culture now. So it's kind of nice to be able to take a break. Like you can step back and you'd be like, all right, I'm doing this today. Yeah. This is my drill weekend. So that's my thing about drill weekend. I love it. It's like, I'm still reachable and I'll still do the job if somebody calls and they need me or anything like that. But it's a change of pace.
Yeah, and there's a shift of, bivocational is an old term.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movement towards this marketplace pastor. And there's also an emphasis on, I'm not just doing this for my job and then this is my ministry and they're separate. Right. But it's also that, yes, this is my ministry, but this is also my ministry.
Yeah.
And how I can be in the community and in a place and sharing Jesus.
Yeah.
So that when I go to church and I tell others to do it, I'm being an example. So how are you able to do that in your job in the military?
Perfect timing and question on that. Wow. So right now it's on drill weekends. I'm a health services technician. So it's interesting how I do kind of the spiritual warfare and help and leading in the church on, the day-to-day, however long it takes me or whatever I'm doing during the week. But then on drill weekends, it's a shift, but I still have to have such love and compassion and care for people, and I have to be a shining light because of not only because of my position, but they have to trust me. Like I'm their medical provider to a certain degree. And so they have to have that. And then also, it doesn't stop me from still being able to do Bible studies with them. So, I have, on this deployment, I already have like 2 groups that want to do Bible studies.
That's awesome.
And they've asked me to lead, and I'm like, well, sure. I mean, it's still a thing to do. I can still take scripture, and it doesn't have to be here. Yeah. And I can do it there. But I think more than anything, it's about loving people and being passionate and caring. And then being willing to, take off the uniform behind closed doors and say, hey, have you heard about Jesus?
Right.
And live that out there. You'll be able to do it in your job. Just know how to do it, know your policies, know the works policies. Don't violate them by any means, but don't be afraid to do it.
All right, so this is the slaughter sauce. This is one of many that we have from torchbearers, and they all happen to be right in the middle.
Okay.
All right. Now, before we start this one, we've connected before over some YouTube sensations, Rhett and Link.
Yeah.
So for this special wing, I want to dink it. All right, and then sink it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a little bit different taste than the last one.
Just a different taste.
Yeah.
And the spices are a different part of my mouth. It's farther back. The last one was like a little bit farther forward.
Right.
But I would eat that wing any day.
Well, there you go. So usually, and when I say usually, I mean the one other time that I did this and I was in your seat, we have a segment called Talk the Talk, like TikTok, but I know you absolutely hate TikTok.
I don't hate it. I don't give into it. But yeah.
And so to not like so much rip off any other people who do a similar talk show like this, we went back to Instagram, and so this one's called Investigating the Insta, because we don't want to steal the other term. So we dove deep into your Instagram and found a couple of pictures that we'd like you to expound upon. So I'm going to show you a couple here and just trying to get the further story of what's going on. So here's the first one.
Yeah, so that's me and my little brother. And so my brother and I are 11 years apart, and that was the day I graduated my specialty training in Petaluma, California, right before I came here. And that's just our brotherly love, man. I always, every chance I get, doesn't matter how big he gets, I have to show him that I'm the bigger brother.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And it sucks because he's like taller than me now, and he's going to be heavier than me here pretty soon. But yeah, I was just, had the
asserting
opportunity.
dominance.
Yeah, especially in uniforms, you're just like, I got to show him.
That's right.
Because he used to always try and show me, especially when he was really little, like Ellie's age, man, 2 all the way to 5 or 6 or 7.
Yeah.
He would always try and show me that he was boss. All
right, here's another one.
Yeah, I don't remember if this is the first one or not, but I'd started doing this thing where as Ellie was growing up, we would do these periodic things where she would hit a milestone or she hit a new weight or a new height, and I wanted to see at what point she would be able to stand on my hand on her own. And she didn't quite get there on that one, but she was close.
So she's doing a balancing act?
Yeah, just like trying to hold her up, and we started that because I had a neighbor when I lived in Oregon. His name is John. He's an MMA fighter, and he's like 6'8", and his wife is like 5'0", Japanese girl, and she's awesome. But he would always do that from the time that his daughter was born. He taught her how to like keep her legs straight. Yeah. So she was like 2 months old, just like floating around on his hand. And I tried to do it, but I'm not as skilled as him.
Like balancing a broom on your finger, but with a child.
Yeah. So we exactly.
This one is honey badger. So this one, it's a little bit different taste, but don't let it fool you.
No, it's all good. Immediately sweet.
It is.
And it has that like almost like a citrusy pepper flavor on that.
Yep. So what is a hobby, Dylan, that you do that you probably have lots of hobbies? You're a very exciting person.
I don't know about that.
But what's a hobby that you do that almost no one knows about, if you're willing to admit it?
Yeah. Man, I don't know. It's really tough because between school. Oh, that one's.
Let's get to you.
That one's hot. That one's right on the tongue. Tongue in the back of the throat. I don't know. I used to play hockey a lot. I guess I'd go back to woodworking.
Okay.
I did that a lot when I was in like 7th and 8th grade. And if I had first of all, the time, most of all, the money, because you have to have all those different tools. Probably that. I love wood. I love the way the wood looks, or leather working. I would love to like make stuff out of leather. That'd be awesome. Not necessarily the tanning part.
Right.
I'm not Paul, but yeah.
All right, well, are you ready for number 7?
Yeah.
All right, you hanging in there?
I'm getting there.
All right, well, this is the last of the torchbearer sauce. This is the garlic reaper. I'd say don't let the name scare you, but you probably should.
I appreciate the honesty.
No problem at all.
It's on my lips, dude. I made a mistake.
Uh-oh. Yeah, there's a lot of like techniques to try to make it not so bad. None of them work.
No, it's just about where do you want the pain?
Right.
You know? Oh, yeah.
Sorry, get to you.
It's there. It's there. It's there.
So, what's something in ministry that you cannot learn until you experience it? That's something that no book, no class can teach you, that you just have to learn by it happening.
Communicating the gospel. Like you can learn about all the different techniques and like parallels between our lives and the gospel and how it relates. But really communicating, I think, is just done with time and experience in it.
Yeah.
Definitely more than anything, like listening. Like you can't learn listening in the classroom.
Yeah.
And you can't learn how important it is. So I think that those are two major skills: communicating, especially communicating God's word, and then listening to people's stories and knowing how to use God's word and how to, align yourselves with it in those moments to help that person or to guide that person that you're speaking to, or even just inspire them and encourage them. The importance of listening is called relational currency. And it's like the more brutally honest I am with somebody when they need to be honest with, and when they need to be told that they're wrong, or that they need help, or that they need adjustment, the more my praises for them will weigh for them. Like it'll have more currency. If I'm honest here, it'll sound like I'm really honest even when I'm praising them.
Yeah.
But if I'm just like praising somebody all the time, then my words are going to lose their value. Now, Paul built credit with people by...
And he would remind them of that too.
Yeah.
He would remember when I did this and that, so that he could then deliver.
Yeah, and he's like, I will, he'll eat kosher with the Gentiles or non-kosher with the Gentiles, and he'll eat kosher with the Jews. He was doing that to build that currency with them. And so it's the same thing with, it's like listening. Sometimes you just have to listen.
This next one needs no introduction.
Dude.
But we're going to introduce it anyways, to Bomb Beyond Insanity. You okay?
Yeah. This one, after it finally like hit with spice.
Yeah.
Now I remember.
So, what is the wildest youth ministry injury that you've ever experienced?
I gotta get ahead of that one. Okay, well, I've only had...
Hopefully there's not many, but it happens. Take your time. Hit the back of the throat.
The sauce came back up. Just the sauce. I don't know how that happened.
Yep.
Oh, gosh. That one sucks.
It's not good.
I'm not gonna hiccup. I will promise you. I can't make that promise.
Even if you do, it's okay. There's, what is it, Grace and Truth, right?
Yeah. Greatest one I've seen was Winter Retreat this last year. Earlier this year, 2022. We were up in Massanutten. I think we were on our way home. We stopped for food. One kid was running through the parking lot, had stuff in his hands, didn't see the ice.
Ooh.
And went face first straight on the asphalt.
Yeah.
And no joke, the kid just like popped right up at us, face just bleeding, bruised already. He was like, huh. And we were like, you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm okay. He did not look okay.
Yeah.
It looked worse than I do right now.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of my own One being that I broke my rib last summer playing Gaga ball. And this is this one?
Yeah, we're at Mad Dog 357, and it looks evil because it is.
Yeah. Oh.
All right.
Wow. That.
It's not much better. So what's a story in the Bible that is just so wild that even some Christians may have a hard time believing it?
Well, I think for one, the Exodus. There's a lot of even Jewish people that say that that was just an inspirational like makeup. Is it Joshua and the marching around Jericho?
The walls of Jericho.
And yet, it turns out we might have evidence for that. Oh man,
It's a lot.
it's like hard to think.
Yeah.
I'm like walking. I'm trying to like walk through Torah. I'm in the Tanakh and. I think maybe like all of Job is really difficult for a lot of people. Whew. Which that one's understandable. Just because of the type of writing it is, the
Right.
where it falls. Oh gosh.
Hey, there's no shame in it. It hurts.
Oh, you say that. Although, like, you look so fine with this.
No, it is painful. Well, we
think
have
that is-
made
yeah.
it. We have marched our way through Spice Mountain.
This is no joke.
We got one last, if you hand me that one right there. So this is the last dab. It's called the last dab because, as you know, it's traditional to put a little bit of dab on the last wing. You don't have to if you don't want to, no pressure.
You get out of here. You suck.
Don't let them cross. Don't cross the sauces. All right, you did it, Dylan. This is it. This is the last one, buddy. We're here.
When people talk about like a euphoria that comes with like hot sauce,
Yeah.
you're lying.
There's no fun parts about it.
Man.
All right, this is the last one. You got this. So no better send off on the last wing, on the last dab, the hottest one there is to say, Dylan, with everything going on with youth ministry starting up, CSM with the fall semester, and you going with deployment soon, how can we be praying for you?
Well, first, I want to say that I'm really happy about the team that's coming together with CSM. But more than anything, I think the best part about this opportunity is I get to say these kind of things, like pray for that team. And the other thing is I don't want to be gone, right? I don't want to be gone for very long, especially. So just pray that I'll be back sooner. But I'm also ready that if I get sick, have to stay longer, or so I'm going to take as much opportunity as I can to spread the gospel, talk about Jesus, and guide people at my unit. A lot of them, this is their first deployment ever. And a lot of them didn't know when they signed up maybe that they were going to be a part of a unit that is deployable like we are.
Yeah.
So pray for them, man, because the biggest help I can get is not only just from God, but also from God working in their lives.
Right.
Because if he's doing that, then my job's easy, you know? My job's easy in that sense. So I think that's the thing. And just that we'll be safe.
Yeah.
Safe. But I also know that if I'm in God's will, it's the safest place I can be. So
Absolutely. Well, Dylan, we'll be praying for you. We'll be praying for your wife, for your daughter, for your unit. But you have made it. We have conquered the wings of death. 10 sauces up, 10 sauces down. How you feeling?
those two are the worst. That one's actually not bad.
Yeah.
Those two are by far the worst. that kind of rounded it out, and I feel actually halfway decent.
It's like a little peak that you just got to go over.
Yeah, definitely. But this was fun. This is a great opportunity. I appreciate you wanting to do this. Yeah, I loved it, man. It's never a bad thing to get together and have some wings with somebody, especially another guy, and just talk about ministry. You know,
Awesome.
I love it.
Well, congratulations, Dylan. You have made it. Listen, these cameras right here. Look at this. Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This camera right here with Crossroads Community Church. We want to be sending you off, obviously.
Yeah.
Let Crossroads know what you're thankful for.
This community. I mean, you know, you can read all of the news. You can watch any video of any other church, and not have nearly the confidence in those other places as I do right here with Crossroads. I'm thankful for the leadership. The leadership has developed so much over the past couple of years since I started coming here. And
Awesome, man.
thanks.
We made it.
I feel like I've been through a boxing match.
Great job. Yeah.
Face is gonna be so swollen.
That one looks a little bit better here. I'll give you that.
Just totally did that in front of the camera. I was just like,